Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, hey, um, my name is Honesty, and you will not regret clicking on this video. So today I'm going to be filming a more serious video. It's probably the most important video that I will ever upload on YouTube. And sorry guys if you can't hear me, it's about to be midnight here and the rest of my family asleep. And I'm a little bit out of breath, so bear with me. So again, like I just said, I am going to be giving my testimony. God has truly put it in my heart to do it. I've kind of been procrastinating, but I want to truly be obedient to my maker, so here I am. I also want to say this is like my umpteenth time trying to record this video. The enemy is really trying to work hard for it not to come out, but it will get put up. So first I want to start off by saying a prayer. Lord, we just thank you. Thank you that you have woken us up today. Thank you that you have not given up on us. Thank you, Lord, for dying for us, for giving us chance after chance. And I thank you for leading whoever is watching this to this video. I pray that you are answering their prayers, that you bless them. Yeah, you let them know that you have never left them, you never will. And I just pray that this testimony is touching each and every person that is watching this video, and that they are coming closer to you, or they're coming to know you, Jesus. And Holy Spirit, I pray that during this testimony, you are guiding me, giving me the words to say and not to say, and touching each and every person watching this. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, before I get into the nitty-gritty, if any of my family members is watching this, please, 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 please click off the video now. There's just certain things I don't want y'all to hear, and I feel like my mom would still try to watch this even though I told her not to. I'm just not really comfortable with that, so please click off the video. Okay, and I'm just going off the top of my head, guys, so bear with me. Growing up, we called ourselves Christian. That's, what we labeled ourselves. We went to church like here and there, but it was nothing regular. We called ourselves Christians, but we really weren't acting like Christians. And not saying that going to church all the time defines a relationship with God, because that's more what Christianity is about. It is about having a relationship with the Lord and spreading his word. But we weren't doing any of that. We didn't really have Bibles. Like, I read the children's Bible, but I just read it to read it, because I've always been into reading. It was not any, I don't want to say it was, I love the children's Bible that I had. But we were not living like Christians at all. Just, we weren't walking it like how we were talking it. So, as a young child, I've always, from what I can remember, I've struggled with anger. I kind of feel isolated, and also I've dealt with the spirits of perversion since a young age as well. I don't know if the last one, the perversion demon, has something to do with a generational curse, or if I was touched or something. I don't know, but I'll get more into detail with all of this. So, yeah, so starting with the anger, this all kind of started around the same time where we were living in this apartment, where my anger and perversion started, basically. So one day my mom had her friend over, and her friend had a daughter. This is not an excuse or anything, but the little girl, she was young. I believe I was about 3 or 4, so I think the little girl was probably like 2 or 3. She kept crying. Again, it's not an excuse. And I had pushed her down. And I think that's like the first memory that I can recollect of having like a angry moment. And it was also around the same time that I got sucked into, I don't want to say that, but okay. So when I believe I was around the same age, 3 or 4, we was living in the same apartment. I was watching something on TV. And FYI, guys, your eyes and your ears are a portal to your soul. So be careful what you watch and what you listen to. And also, I would really advise you to watch what your children is watching and listening to. Or I probably wouldn't even be in this predicament that I'm in right now. Yeah, I believe my mom was in her room and I was in the living room. I don't know where my other siblings was. It was my brother and me there. And it was something on TV, and it had adult content on there. It wasn't full blown like rated R or anything, but they were doing things that I should not have seen as a 3, 4 year old, but I did, and I tried to reenact it with my brother. We didn't do anything like, it's all disturbing, but we didn't do anything like crazy. That is the first recollection I've had of that spirit of perversion, and that one is 2 events that really makes me sick to my stomach. The enemy has been working hard in my life since I was a child, as you can see. So we then moved on to our next house, where I basically went through the same thing. My mom had got cable, which had HBO, Stars, Cinemax, things like that. And I truly don't know where my mom was or how I was up late watching this, but I was up late watching like full-blown explicit adult content. And I want to say, excuse me, I was only a couple years older at the time, so around like 5, 6. So as you can see, I had my eyes exposed at a very young age. And also while there, I had an encounter with the neighbor girl. I don't want to get into any of these details because I don't know who's watching this, but that was the second occurrence that I had with another person. So back to my anger. I don't really know what this stems from. I have a few inklings, but I'm not really sure. I really feel like, me and my mom has a very, I don't want to say full-blown strained relationship, but we're not really close. From a young age, I kind of felt like, I feel like I didn't have anyone to protect me, or I felt like she didn't believe me with things, that I was her least favorite child. And some of these things were just like small little bit, like it would seem just so immature for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know that I am a truly, truly sensitive person. Like, I don't think not one person on this earth completely knows me 100%. I've built my walls up high, and I'm working on breaking those down. But even my family members, I feel like no one completely knows who honesty is. And I put on a mask of who I want people to see, even you guys, but only God knows who I truly am. So it would just be little things like, again, like, if we would have someone over, someone got in trouble, I would get in trouble with them even though I didn't do it, and she wouldn't believe me. I just basically I felt like I didn't have a protector. Um, yeah, like an example of that was she had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend had two sons. One's name, we're just gonna say one's name is S, one's name is T. Hopefully I didn't use those names before. So S was older. I want to say he was about 14, 15, and I was again around 6, 7. My brother had to be around 9, and his brother, I want to say he was closer to my age, so probably like 7 years old. Anyway, it was one day that my mom was gone. I didn't even know she was gone that morning. I don't know where she went. But I woke up to my brother and T. They were just like full blown cussing and everything. And my mom came back home like shortly after that, like 5 minutes. Little did I know is that S had called my mom, or I don't know if my mom or his dad, whatever, and it said that all three of us were cussing. And I told my mom, I'm like, I just woke up. It wasn't me. She didn't believe me. And I got dish soap put in my mouth as a punishment. And that is just an example of how it truly hurt me that she wouldn't believe me with certain stuff. And also, I have aunts. I say my relationships is kind of like distant with all of my family members except for like my immediate family, and not even all of my immediate family. I had an aunt, and she still kind of talks like this today, but you know, she can only get so far because we're adults now. But she would talk to us like we were dogs, like we were not human, like we didn't have feelings. And I don't know how anybody else, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we were all like annoyed with her, but I would get angry and just like, I started, without realizing it, holding things in, like taking mental notes and stashing it away in my unforgiveness drawer. And another part of that with my mom is she would just talk to us. My aunt would talk to us so crazy, and my mom would be there, and she really didn't defend us. Like, I get that we were kids, and we are supposed to respect our adults, and I completely understand that. But there's also a way that you can talk to your kids without making them feel worthless, and that's basically how she made me feel personally. Sorry, guys, I'm nervous. I'm getting tongue tied. So, I think that was one of the stems of my anger as well. And I think a huge factor was my dad not being in the picture. He was there, but he wasn't there, if you get what I mean. Um, like, he would call every now and then and come around every now and then, but it was never like a constant thing with him. So, around that time as well, I would believe I was 8 years old. I think this is where my childhood really, like, ended. I don't want to say full blown ended, but it kind of like made me grow up faster than what I should have. So, if I was 8, my mom was around 35 at the time. I don't know how she discovered, but she discovered that she had a tumor. It was it's called neurofibromatosis type 2, NF2 for short, where it is a benign tumor that's typically in our brain or on like our ears and on those type of nerves and stuff. She discovered that she had one, and she had to get hers removed. But those specific tumors are hereditary, so all 4 of her children had to get tested to see if we had it. Well, we had to take an MRI, and 3 out of 4 had it, including me. So I had an invasive brain surgery at the age of 8, and I think that was kind of like the start of the end of my childhood. I feel like I never really had a normal childhood per se, and I'm gonna get more into that, but I kind of struggled with that throughout my life, and that's okay. I'm gonna get that. So yeah, I had to adjust to that and go to school after that, and everybody would stare at me because I had to go to school with a scarf over my head so no one can really see the scars. Um, yeah. Around this time too, I I was going to a predominantly white school, and I don't want to say race had anything to do with it. I really didn't feel any type of way about us having different skin color. But I really started seeing my anger showing here. I kind of see that I was kind of taking my anger from home out at school. I would just do a lot of violent things. I remember, I don't know what this girl did to me, but I never really, nothing I did was right, but I never attacked without being attacked first. She had did something to me, and I really don't remember, but I remember I kept pinching her neck, and her back of her neck was so red, and I was such a mean looking. I don't want to say mean because even back then, I still was always to myself. I'm a very reserved person around other people. I'm very introverted, so I would never like be the antagonizer. But that was still horrible what I did. And then, yeah, I was just getting fights and things here. Um, Full blown fights. It was a lot of crazy stuff happening in elementary school. And yeah, so then where do I want to say we moved to a different house where we moved a lot, guys. Sorry, but I'm memorizing stuff based on where we were living, and I'm not going to say where we're living. But it was a day that our cousin was over. It was me, my cousin, my sister, and my brother. We were all in the computer room on the computer. And I think you guys know where this leads. She was showing us stuff like, it was like games and stuff, but it was still like adult games that I should not have been watching. And at this, and I want to say I was about 9, 10. So this was the start of my pornography addiction. And a lot of people think that it's only men that can have addiction to pornography, but it can be women as well. And it is really a really, really hard addiction to overcome. And I want to say, if you know somebody who is struggling with that, I just walk with them through it. There is still help, and I only like ended that addiction a couple of years ago, so it's still kind of fresh. But the Lord is so good. So yes, that started that, and we moved again, and another incident happened with another young girl, and I feel the most terrible about this because I really feel like I'm pretty sure I did traumatize that little girl. I don't really want to go. This one I really don't want to speak of, but the enemy cannot make me feel guilty about anything because the Lord has forgiven me for each and everything once I have truly repented. So yeah, I just want to say that she was younger than me. I was probably around 12, so I'm knowing between right and wrong now. And again, my anger and things kept escalating around this time when we had moved because I really liked where we was living. I didn't like where we was living, but I liked like the neighborhood and my friends and everything. Where we moved, there was no one really around, and we lived right next to like literally like a 2-minute walk from Dairy Queen and a corner store. So I was not going to school really because I was gaining weight and I just felt uncomfortable. And I was getting bigger and bigger because I would go to Dairy Queen or the corner store or be cooking, and I did not go to school. I'd be on the computer all day, and I felt uncomfortable in my skin. I didn't really like going to school because of that, and because I started getting picked on. I don't want to say full blown bully because that word is taken out of context a lot, but yeah, it became noticeable, and I just became more insecure. Around this time, my grandma passed, and I was a horrible, mean granddaughter. I was not obedient at all. And my sister still says I'm mean, but I really took my anger out on her and my brother, because I felt like they were easy targets. I would call my brother all types of names because he has a learning disability. And you guys don't understand. I was just such a mean little girl. Um, so she passed around this time, and because of that, it was more to it. But our landlord got us kicked off of Section 8 because we were on Section 8, so we had nowhere to go. So we ended up staying with our cousin. I didn't want to go here at all, y'all. So here, I'm just gonna say it. Their house was disgusting. It was infested with mice. It was just not clean. The showers, everything. When I tell you guys, I lost so much weight when we lived there because we didn't eat. I didn't trust eating nothing that came from them. So when I did eat, we would have to like walk all the way to the gas station, which was a good walk. So we basically was burning off the junk food that we were eating. But while there, and I cannot, well, I can judge, but we'll just say that this person is in the Lord's hands. He's still living, but our cousin's boyfriend, her baby daddy, basically stole all our stuff because Hey, you guys. So, my camera cut off without me knowing, so it is a different day. So, I'm sorry if the angle and the lighting has changed, but back to what I was saying. So, again, I believe that I left off at saying that her boyfriend basically stole and then sold all of our stuff, I believe. And like, it was just too much that I'm like, we knew it was him. He tried to make it seem like someone broke in the door and like they like knocked it. How do I say? They broke into the door basically because it was a detached garage. But it wouldn't make sense for robbers to take everything in the garage. There was nothing really left in there, and real thieves would only just take like the valuable stuff and leave everything else. So yeah, and when he had did that, he stole our camera, which had my grandma on it like a year before she died, saying, just speaking over us and everything. And that was kind of like our last footage we had of her. And it got stolen. Sorry, I think my sister's up, so I'm trying to keep my voice low. So I'm sorry if you can't hear me. But so we actually got into it with them while staying with them. So we ended up moving out of their house, which it was just a lot of sick stuff going on in there. And that's not my business to tell, but it was a lot of crazy stuff going on in there. So I ended up moving in with my mom's sister. Both of my aunts were kind of mean, but she was the less mean aunt. So we moved in with my mom's other sister. We didn't really vibe well with them at all. And then it was really crazy, and which, kind of annoyed me, was that we lived with so many people growing up. Like, there was not really a time that we had a house to ourselves because my mom would always let people stay with us. It mainly was relatives, but still. And we didn't really make people feel uncomfortable like how they made us. And that kind of annoyed me because, when, it's us helping you, it's okay, but you don't like to help us, if that makes sense. They didn't really like helping us. So we then moved to our own house, which they kind of rushed us out of theirs, where for like the first time in my life, really, my dad lived with us because he didn't have a place to stay. It was my dad, even though him and my mom were not together at all. My brother, my older brother, my eldest brother, he lived with us too. And then we lived with my aunt and cousin. This is Damina and her son. It was just we also lived with my sister's friend. And so it was a lot of people in one house. It was technically 2 bedrooms. No, it might have been 3, but it was just so many people in one house that it was bound to have arguments and, just a lot of stuff going on. And I realized that I could not stand living with my dad. It's just a lot of stuff that he did that would it was like a lot of nitpicky stuff that would annoy me of him, like, especially with food. He would eat our food, my brother would too, and it was just a lot going on in one house. I even finally, this is not something I'm proud of, but I guess I stood up to my Mina, and I got in a big argument with her, which wasn't even about her. Anyway, that's irrelevant. So yeah, a lot of anger and stuff got building up in me because I just feel like, why are we always helping people who do us dirty? Basically, that's how I felt. And then when we had moved to this house, me and my sister were doing ECOT because we did not go to school. I tell y'all, I would not go back to school if you paid me. I didn't like school at all, so we were like skipping and stuff a lot. So we were on ECOT. Y'all, this is kind of a side story, but I got kicked off of ECOT and I had to transfer to a real school. So yeah. While living here, our lease was up. So my aunt, I want to say probably around 4 or 5 months before our lease was up, me and my mom and my aunt applied for the same place. This place was so nice, y'all. It had 4 bedrooms, and it was only her and her son and my aunt's boyfriend. So they only really need 2 bedrooms. My mom has 4 kids biologically, and herself. That was 4 bedrooms. That would have been perfect for us. But they ended up giving it to I was about to say her name. So when our lease was up, because we didn't find a place to stay quick enough, we had to go and live with her. And once again, we were put in uncomfortable positions where they made us just feel like we're not welcome, like we were a burden, and it would just make me just so mad, because I'm like, I kept up after myself and everything. It was just, you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like, people do you so dirty that you helped out. I'm tongue tied, y'all, right now. I'm sorry, I'm tired, but I'm trying to get this finished. It just hurt. Basically, it would hurt me and make me mad how they would treat us, knowing that we did not treat them as horrible as they treated us. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So she ended up getting kicked out of her house because she didn't want to pay the rent. So this was at the end of the school year, thank God. So we ended up going to a shelter. I was supposed to get a job that year. I think this was kind of towards the peak of my meanness, my anger. Because we were in a shelter, I was in the same room with my mom, my brother, and Becky, because you know it can only be two adults at once, and me and my brother were the only ones under 18. So Gabrielle had a fine. I think she was staying with my aunt. Yeah, she was staying with my aunt. I was actually supposed to get a job that summer, and I was so happy it was going to be my first job. I was 15, but because I had to reschedule it twice because my sister couldn't take me, they they told me that they're no longer interested in me, and I just like feel the anger in me that it was every day that I was so mean, I was so angry, I was so upset, I was bitter. It was one day I even told my mom that I wish she died. I told her I hit her before, and it was just like the enemy really had a hold on me. Um, but we eventually moved out of the shelter into this crappy apartment. It was a townhouse. I'm gonna do a story time about like all of my slumlords, so I'm not gonna get too much into that. But so I'm kind of gonna go skip over this there because I kind of mentioned it in my story time where we were staying. It was me and my mom, her, all of her 4 kids, um, my sister's friend Molly and her boyfriend and baby. Um, we were having problems with the landlord. We ended up moving into a different house where things kind of exploded, and me and my sister moved out of the house, and I was only 17 at the time. Um, so if you want to get more details on that, go ahead and go to my story time titled Moving Out at 17. So when we had moved out, we moved in with our brother, which it was okay for a while. I guess it wasn't the best circumstance, but we had a place to sleep. But things went left with him. He started making up things, and it wasn't working out. So me and my sister were just like, one day we just decided to pack up all of our stuff and we left. We then stayed at her friend's house for I think a night or two. Um, Again, we were grateful we had some place to stay, but you guys, it was rats. She had like a spare room that we were sleeping in, and it was rats. No, I think it was mice, but they were like in between the mattress and the box spring. So like we're literally feeling them move up under there. It was so nasty. So then after that, because that was like it was really gross. We um was staying at her other friend's house, which was right next to my school. Basically, it's probably like a 3-minute walk to my school. So I was like, it's kind of convenient right now. But we ended up not staying there long because her mom was kind of being money hungry, and my sister, she was not working at the time. She was only in college, so she would have to have paid for me and her, and that just it wasn't going to work out. So our only option was, and I have never told a soul of this. I kind of wanted it to take it to the grave, but since I'm giving my testimony, I might as well say it. We were staying in her car, like in the coldest winter. Like it was snow deep outside. Our feet, everything was freezing off. We were freezing in these cars, and I would have to wash up at like a Walmart or someplace right before school. And we were doing all of this without anyone knowing. None of my family members know. No one knows this but me and her. And that was like one of our lowest points. Well, mine personally. It's not the lowest, but you guys, he was with us in that car. He was sleep. Well, he doesn't sleep, but he was there when we were sleeping in the car while we were cold and everything. And just he knows everything about us, and he empathizes with us. And you're not alone. That's all I'm trying to say. We ended up finding a house and moving back in with um, my family, like my mom and siblings, even though we all fell out because this was like not it. And that happened around 2015. Yeah. So actually, we moved in that place in 2016. I was in my senior year of high school when this was all happening. And so when we had moved back in with our family, we found this place. And anyway, my sister's boyfriend, Becky's boyfriend, was living with us. I don't know why. I didn't like him. We did not get along. It's a lot of twisted stuff that he has done to our family, and it's kind of too dark to really go into on YouTube. Um, just basically, I didn't like him. I really didn't like him from the beginning because he's the father of my nephew, but before she even got pregnant, I just wasn't vibing with him. And it's just a lot of background on that. That's just like, a foreshadow. So I graduated in the summer of 2016 from high school, and I was planning on going to college at LIU, which was in Brooklyn, New York. So that summer, I was like, once again, very sick. Oh, this was not my second surgery. This would have been, um, anyway, yes. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm thinking of this off the top of my head. So, in that summer of 2016, I was very sick. Like, I was sleeping all day, all night. I had massive headaches. I was throwing up all the time, just not keeping anything down. I lost weight once again. And I didn't want to go to the hospital because I didn't have insurance. And one day my mom and my sister kind of just forced me to go, where they gave me an MRI and it seemed that the tumor had came back. So a couple years before that, I had surgery. This was when we were in the townhome with the slumlord. And while I was there, this was actually my junior year of high school, my eyes was literally crossed like this. I was having so much vision problems and I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't getting sick like that. It was just my eyes having problems. So like one day when I was at school, they were having like a basketball game and I was literally seeing double of everything. I went home and I did not go back to school for a while because of that. I had a doctor's appointment coming up, so I didn't like go to the ER or anything. And they basically found a tumor pressing against my eyes, which was causing me to go cross-eyed and have double vision. So I was walking around with a patch over my eye for a good minute before I had emergency surgery. So fast forward back to 2016, when I was hospitalized again, they gave me an MRI. Found that the tumor had came back. So I had surgery, and this time my right eye was gone because it was like pressing up against this. It was kind of wrapped around my optic nerve, I believe. So when they pulled it out, my optic nerve went with it. And I was still able to see pretty good out of my left eye, but my right eye was gone. I could still see like shadows. If you put your finger in front of my eye with this one closed, I could still see your finger moving, but I couldn't. It's basically like shadows. So yeah, most people couldn't tell that I couldn't see out of that right eye. Excuse me, y'all. Yeah, I kind of had to like train it to not go all loopy off to the side because it's like I didn't have control of that eye, so no one really noticed. I got another job and everything, and it didn't really affect it. So yeah, because of that, I did not go to college at LIU. and which really sucked because I had already gave a down payment for my room and board, which is like $500 down the drain, but I can't do nothing about that. And then I basically was just at home the whole time, basically because my plans to go off to college were ruined. And around this time, as you all know, 2016 was a presidential election year. This is when I believe that God really started to get a grip on me. So as I was hospitalized and everything, I started to get a little bit closer to God. I was reading, trying to read the Bible more, and listening to the gospel, praying more, and it was such an amazing feeling, especially when I would pray sometimes. It would literally feel like my soul is pulsing. I believe, I don't know what it really is, but I believe it's like, my spirit trying to jump out to Jesus or something. I can't explain it. It's just like, it's such a nice feeling. I haven't had that feeling in a long time, and I want to get back there, but who knows? So anyway, this was a presidential election year, so I was planning on voting for her, even though the final candidates, I can't say that right, final candidates for each party has not been decided yet. But I was like, I'm just going to vote for her because I thought Trump was a joke. I didn't think he was like a bad person or anything. I still don't. I just thought he was a joke. That it was just a game for him. So my sister, so Gabrielle would listen to a Revelator. She calls herself a Revelator. Her name is Kat Kerr. She has visitations to heaven. She talks to God the Father a lot. And she said that God told her who would win the 2016 presidential election. And I believe it was on her website that my sister went there to find out who it was. She was reading it off and everything. And as she was reading it off, you guys, I swear my soul knew. Especially because she said that he has his own money. I knew it was Trump. And lo and behold, it was Trump. The story behind that is, I feel like Christians don't extend grace enough. Trump is not perfect. He's not Jesus, and I'm not expecting him to be. But he is chosen. He is specifically chosen by God to lead his people. And I feel like a lot of Christians forget that they had a start. They had a background, a past, and everything. And it took a while for us to get where we are. And I just feel like we need to extend grace to other people, pray, especially for our leaders, legally, our legally elected leaders. Hint, hint. So, with that, our eyes got open to a lot of stuff, a lot of corruptions in politics, but not even just in politics, just so much around the world that it began to draw me closer and closer and closer to him. I started to pray again once more. I would pray every night before I went to sleep, try to read the Bible and everything, but I was still living of the world. I was living with one foot in a world, one foot with God. And as you guys know, he will spit the lukewarm out. Either you hot for him or you're cold. There's no in between. But I was still living the life that I wanted to. So when eventually this lease was over, so we were moving on to a next house because this house that we were living in currently were infested with mice. I can't stand mice. They're disgusting. So we found another place to stay. And this was like in a nice area. No, it wasn't. I didn't mean to say it like that. It was a very nice house. It was a very pretty, nice house. It was like not a mansion or anything, but it was really nice. But it was in a horrible community. We lived right next to a trap house, and it was just so much drama every day on that street. But while we were moving, Becky's baby daddy, Becky and his mom like got into it. I don't know why. I really don't care. But she didn't want my nephew to see her. And he was trying, her baby daddy was trying to give him to her mom. And my brother, my eldest brother, stepped in and was like, no, get your baby. They're not taking your baby. Basically, like standing up for my sister. And so they're leaving Becky's baby daddy and his mom. And on the way, while he leaving, he threatens to kill my other brother, T, if y'all remember. So he did not help us move into this other house at all. So we tell my sister, especially since he threatened my brother, like, don't tell him where we live, nothing, da 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 da. She like, I'm not gonna tell him nothing. Lo and behold, a couple days pass and he's in our house. Oh, like, whatever. Because, my mom like, oh, he's paying to stay here. I really do not care. So one day, it was not even a week. I want to say it was probably like day 4 or 5 of us staying there. Me and my sister, me and Gabrielle were downstairs. We were watching God's Not Dead. I specifically remember that movie. And he was upstairs in Becky's room up there talking some vulgar stuff, saying some disrespectful things about my God. And Gabrielle was not having that. So she told me to go upstairs with her so she could confront him. Basically, that's what she was doing. She called him out on everything. And he really ain't have nothing to say. So he left the house mad, whatever. And we were all upstairs explaining to my mom because she has a hearing impairment, like what was going on. And then we like hear this loud crash. We all go running downstairs because my friend's daughter was there. She was screaming, crying the whole time. And we go down there and he busted out the window in the front. And we don't know where he went, but then we heard it crash again in our back. And he busted out the window in the kitchen. So we ended up having to press charges on him for that. And we just basically told my sister, like, to cut him off. But how many of y'all know she didn't listen? But he did not come back to our house because we was not having that at all. And, the principle of that story is like, as for me in my house, we would serve the Lord. Don't just let anybody into your house who's going to disrespect the Lord, especially because people come with spirits attached to them. It's either good spirits or bad spirits. A lot of people have demons in them, and when they come to your home, they bring that energy, those demons with them, and it can cause a lot of destruction and chaos in your home. So just make sure y'all keep y'all's house clean, like spiritually, and make sure you be careful about who you are letting into your home, into your sanctuary. So that summer, I believe, actually it was kind of all throughout the year, I was getting sick again. The usual symptoms: headaches, nausea, vomiting, all of that. But this time I didn't go into the ER until about December. It was December 14th actually, because it's, yeah. We went in. I went in with my sister Becky. Went with me. Once again, they found the tumor, and you guys, this one was like probably the hardest hospital stay that I have ever had. I stayed in there for about I want to say a week, no, maybe like 4 days, and then they sent me home saying that I was going to have surgery in the new year, so in January of 2019. So I did. Because the tumor was so big, they had to remove it from my head and through my nasal cavity. So when they removed it from my head, when they woke me up, when I tell y'all, like, my eyesight, I can't even really explain it. It's very hard to explain, but basically right now, what I see is blurry. Just imagine a big old fogged window that you cannot ever just wipe clear. And I have a huge floater blocking the majority of my vision, so I could say I see about 10% out of my left eye. When he took that tumor out, it almost took my whole optic nerve. So the doctors have legally declared me has medically declared me legally blind, even though I am not in agreement with that. But I think that is documented for a reason. While there, I felt like I was just getting attacked. I felt alone because it was only me there. And you guys, I was in the hospital for almost a month by myself. Like, my family members and stuff would come occasionally, but I'll have to beg them. So while staying in a hospital, I'm seeing demons. I'm seeing full-blown demons. And like, the nurses, and not everyone, but they were kind of basically making me seem like I'm crazy. Like, I didn't know what I was talking about. Like, they were kind of neglecting me. Not kind of, they was. And I was just having such a hard time there alone. I couldn't watch TV because, my eyesight. I didn't have a phone or anything. So because my phone got destroyed, so I was literally in there all alone for almost a whole month. I think it was like 3.5 weeks I was in there. And not to mention, I couldn't breathe out of my nose because when they had removed the tumor from my nose, they had to put, I don't know what they call it, I think it's stents or something like that, where basically it's just like it felt like cotton was in my nose, blocking my breathing, so I had to breathe out of my mouth. It was just such a hard time. I was sad. I felt depressed. My anxiety was like on 1,000. And that's when he showed himself to me. It was him and him only who had got me through that. And I'm not going to cry like I did in the other video. But it was him who revealed himself to me. It was him who comforted me. Him who gave me peace and joy through all of that chaos, and who made me feel special, like everything was going to be okay, even though I was going through all of this. And even though I don't enjoy this, I don't like having my eyesight like this, I do not regret my decisions. I still, not go to the hospital and everything at first. Because if I didn't, he wouldn't have came to me. I wouldn't have surrendered to him. I wouldn't have cried out to him. And I wouldn't be where I am today if this never happened to me. And I'm not saying that he caused this to happen, but he will use the current situation that you are in to draw you near to him. And it was just like the most peace that I ever felt. And I guess that was him starting to chip at my cold heart. So, 2019 was just basically a really hard year for me. That year also, later that year, my eldest brother, he died. He passed, and he was dealing with a lot of demons himself. And I wasn't, me and him, we didn't really get along that well. But he was still my brother, and my love for him never stopped because of what he was going through. He was dealing with demons of homosexuality and drugs, and he had a hard life. My dad was like abusive, like physically abusive to him. Growing up, so he was just going through a lot, and he tried to OD voluntarily, but it was by the grace of God that he was staying with my aunt at the time. She found him and called the ambulance and everything, so he was hospitalized. When we went there, they said, he didn't have really any activity, I believe. He was just there like on a I don't know what it's called. I think it's the ventilator. Where they put him. I don't think he I don't think they put him under anything, but he was basically in a coma. And the doctors and even the nurses basically was telling us that there's no hope. One of the nurses was like clapping his face, snapping his face, being kind of disrespectful, saying like there's no hope for him, basically, because there was no reaction. But God is so good, y'all. So the next day was my dad's birthday, and we had called him to wish him a happy birthday while we were at our home. He told us that he was in the hospital and that my brother was awake and responsive. Like, is God not good, y'all? He literally gave my dad a birthday gift. My dad, he has come a long way. He's definitely not the man that he used to be. He's a godly man now, and God rewarded him. So he had woke up, we had came and visited him that day. The nurse, she came in, that same one who was snapping and clapping in his face. She was crying, especially when we told her that it was my dad's birthday. And that just tells you just how sweet, how merciful he is, how much he loves us. But that was the last day we had talked to him. He actually, I think we went a couple days after my dad's birthday. Because the day we went on his birthday, he still had the breathing tube down his throat, so he couldn't talk to us. The last time we did, they took it out, and he was talking to us, saying that the woman was trying to kill him. I don't know if it was true or not, because I know what it's like to be hospitalized, but, we told him that we loved him and everything. And everyone thought it was getting better. They moved him to a bigger room and everything. And one night, my mom texted me, because it was pretty late. She said, "Did you hear what happened to your brother?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And she told me that he died. Words can't explain how I felt. As soon as I read the text, like, my heart dropped. We thought he was so close to coming out. And he has so many people praying for him. He has so many people that love him, that I truly believe with all of my heart that God took him home to relieve him of all the pain that he was going through. And it was kind of a relief knowing that it was a relief knowing that he wasn't in pain anymore, that I was kind of relieved that I didn't have to worry if he was safe or not, because now I know that he is the safest he will ever be in the Father's hands. And it's been 2 years now. I think it's, my dad never truly grieved over it, so he's been going through it, especially because it's the holidays. But He got us all out of it. He brought us all so far. I told myself I was not gonna cry, and look at me. So, since moving to Tennessee, I just feel like God has accelerated my spiritual growth with Him. So much has happened, y'all. I've gotten prophesied over. It's just been so much that I can't even say it all in this video. I wouldn't have enough time. So yeah, that's basically my testimony. Where God had has brought me. And you know, I was kind of procrastinating, not wanting to give my testimony until after my physical healing. But He has already healed me. He wants me to give Him the glory now because I already have the victory. He has the victory, so I have the victory. And He is so great, so awesome, you guys. And He loves each and every one of you that is watching this. He wants you to know that personally, that He is with you, that He has been with you through all of the trouble, all the hardship, and He has not left you. All He wants you to do is turn to Him, turn away from whatever the world is trying to say will solve those problems, and turn to Him. And my other advice would be to just take it a day at a time. We all started somewhere. We all can't just, get rid of everything and be spiritually set free overnight. It is possible with some people, but don't be hard on yourself. Sometimes it takes time. But just know that you are loved. You have always been loved. You are specifically chosen to be living during this time. And even if you were the last person on the earth, He would still give His life away for you. So that was the end of my testimony. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a like and make sure you comment and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram. It's kind of the only social media I have at Random Honesty. It's the same as my YouTube name. It is private. All you have to do is request and I will accept your follow. So that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. Mwah.